I'm Mike Thompson, 27 years old, pulling in 250 grand a year selling medical devices in Dallas, Texas. I thought I had it all figured out, big commissions, a sleek car, a corner office with a view. I was living the dream, or so I thought, until I overheard this through my apartment door. Mike has no clue. He's like my personal ATM. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Everything I'd built, every sacrifice I'd made, every moment I thought I was building a future with someone I loved, it all crumbled in that single sentence. My hands shook, my heart raced, and I stood there, frozen, trying to make sense of it. How did I end up here? Let me take you back to the start, because trust me, this story's gonna keep you glued. I've always been the guy who outworks everyone. Up at 5 a.m., chugging coffee by 5:30, pitching $1 million surgical tools to hospitals by 7. My job's high stakes, surgeons don't mess around, and neither do I. Last year, I cleared $165K, and this year, I'm on pace to hit $250,000. Big money, sure, but it comes with a price. 12-hour days are standard. 16-hour marathons aren't rare. I'm in and out of operating rooms, dodging blood splatter while demoing devices that can save lives. It's intense, and it's lonely. My downtown Dallas loft looks like something out of a magazine. Glass walls, marble counters, the works, but it's empty. I'd come home to a fridge stocked with nothing but protein shakes and a bed I crashed in alone. My life was a grind, and I was good at it, but deep down, I was desperate for something more. Something real. Have you ever felt like you're winning at everything except the stuff that matters? That's where Sarah came in. It was a Tuesday morning, one of those rare moments that I wasn't sprinting to a meeting. I stopped by the hospital cafe for a quick coffee. Black, no sugar, because who has time for anything else? That's when I saw her. Sarah Martinez, 23, a communications student working part-time behind the counter. She had this effortless charm. Big brown eyes, a smile that felt like it was just for you. She handed me my coffee, her fingers brushing mine for a split second longer than necessary. Long day ahead? She asked, her voice warm, like she actually gave a damn. I laughed, mumbled something about surgeons and deadlines, and she nodded like she got it. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like someone saw me, not the sales guy, not the commission checks, just me. We started talking more. She'd ask about my job, the deals I was closing, the kind of stuff nobody else bothered with. You must be raking it in, she said once, her eyes sparkling with this playful curiosity. I shrugged it off, but I won't lie. It felt good to impress her. We'd grab lunch sometimes, and she'd always pick the priciest thing on the menu. Lobster rolls, truffle fries, a $20 smoothie without even glancing at the price. You're so lucky to have a stable career, she'd say, leaning in close, her hand brushing my arm. I didn't think twice about picking up the tab. I mean, I was making bank, and she was a broke college kid, right? She'd thank me with this perfect little hug, her perfume lingering just long enough to make me feel like a king. Looking back, I should have caught the red flags, like how she asked about my commission structure on our second date, specific stuff like how often I got paid and what my biggest deals were, or how she seemed to know exactly when I'd closed a big sale, like she had a radar for my paydays, but I was too busy falling for her to notice. Every time we hung out, it was like she knew exactly what I needed to hear. You work so hard, Mike, she'd say, her voice soft, her hand resting on mine. You deserve someone who gets it. And I ate it up. I'd spent years pouring everything into my career, convincing myself money was enough to fill the void. But Sarah, she made me believe I could have more. Love, a partner, a real life. I didn't see it then, but she was playing me from the jump, planting seeds for a game I didn't even know I was in. Her questions about my work weren't curiosity. They were reconnaissance. Her compliments weren't affection. They were bait. And those little emergencies she'd have, like the time her car broke down and I Venmo'd her $500 without blinking. They weren't accidents, they were tests. I remember one night we were at a rooftop bar, the Dallas skyline glittering behind us. She looked perfect, her hair catching the light, and I thought, this is it. This is what I've been missing. She leaned in, her voice low, and said, I feel so safe with you, Mike. My chest swelled. Safe, that's what I wanted to be for her. I didn't know she was already sizing me up, figuring out how to bleed me dry. While I was dreaming of a future, she was calculating my worth. And the worst part? I made it so easy for her. My fatal flaw wasn't my work ethic or my ambition. It was thinking money could buy love. Have you ever met someone who seemed too perfect to be true? That's what Sarah was. Too perfect. And I was too lonely to question it. What I didn't know then, what I couldn't have known, was that Sarah wasn't just some sweet college girl working a cafe job. She was a predator, and I was her mark. Every smile, every touch, every "I'm so lucky to have you" was a move in a game I didn't even know I was playing. While I was out closing million-dollar deals, she was tracking my paydays, timing her crises to hit right when my bank account was flush. She wasn't in love with me. She was in love with what I could give her. And trust me, it gets worse from here. You think you've seen manipulation? Wait till you hear what she did next. I thought Sarah was my future, my chance at something real beyond the grind of my high-flying job. But while I was falling for her, she was weaving a web so tight, I didn't even feel it closing in. Every step she took was calculated, every smile a trap. Looking back, it's like watching a chess game where I didn't even know I was a pawn. Let me walk you through how she played me, move by move, until I was so deep in her game, I couldn't see the board. It started with the little things, small tests to see how far she could push me. About a month into dating, Sarah called me one evening, her voice trembling. Mike, I'm so embarrassed, she said. My phone bill's overdue, $200, and they're gonna cut me off. I hate asking, but can you help? I was in the middle of a high-stakes pitch to a room full of surgeons, demoing a device that could make or break my next commission check. But her panic sounded so real. I stepped out, wired her the money right there, and got back to the meeting like nothing happened. Later, she left me a voicemail, her voice thick with gratitude. You're my hero, Mike. I'll pay you back. I swear. I felt 10 feet tall, but here's what I didn't see. She never paid me back. Not that time, not ever. And those emergencies kept coming, always hitting right after my commission checks cleared. Have you ever bailed someone out thinking you were saving the day, only to wonder later if they were playing you? Then there was the mall incident. We were at this upscale boutique, Sarah trying on a dress that cost more than my car payment. When she went to pay, her card got declined. She laughed it off, her cheeks flushing red, mumbling something about a bank glitch. I'll figure it out later, she said, looking mortified. I didn't hesitate. I swiped my card for the $300 dress. No questions asked. She threw her arms around me, whispering, You're my lifesaver, Mike. That hug, that moment, it made me feel like I was her protector. But now I know it was a setup. She'd planned the whole thing, testing how quickly I'd open my wallet. Every time she hit me with one of these crises, I'd swoop in like some superhero, and she'd reward me with just enough affection to keep me hooked. It was like she had a script, and I was reading my lines perfectly. The real escalation came when Sarah suggested we move in together. We were at my place one night, her curled up on my couch with a glass of wine I'd paid for. It just makes sense, she said, her voice soft and logical. We're together all the time, and splitting rent would save us both money. She painted this picture of us building a life together, shared dinners, lazy Sundays, a real partnership. I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. I thought it was romantic, practical even, We found a swanky downtown apartment, $2,800 a month, supposedly for my convenience, since it was closer to the hospitals I worked with. I didn't know then that Sarah had quietly cut her shifts at the cafe. While I was signing the lease, thinking we were starting a new chapter, she was already planning how to live off me. She'd cry about the stress of balancing school and work, saying things like, "I don't want to hold you back, Mike." It was textbook reverse psychology, and I fell for it. I told her not to worry, that I'd cover things until she got settled. Spoiler alert, she never got settled. Then came the day she quit her job. She came home one evening, eyes red, voice shaky, telling me some creep at the cafe had harassed her. "I can't go back there, Mike," she sobbed. "It's not safe." I was livid, ready to march down there and confront the guy myself. She begged me not to, said it would make things worse. So instead I told her to quit, that I'd take care of everything, and just like that, I was covering it all. Rent, her car payment, insurance, even her credit card bills. She'd bat her eyes and say it was for our future, especially when she brought up her student loans. I paid those too, thinking I was investing in us. Meanwhile, she was upgrading to the latest iPhone, buying designer bags, booking spa days like it was nothing. I was so buried in my work, 12-hour shifts, sometimes 16, closing million-dollar deals, that I didn't see the pattern. But Sarah did. She had this eerie sixth sense for my paydays, always hitting me with a new need right when my account was flush. Ever notice how some people seem to know exactly when you're feeling generous? It got worse. Sarah started disappearing 3 nights a week for study groups. She'd kiss me goodbye, grab her laptop, and head out, saying she was cramming for exams. I'd be stuck in surgery meetings, too exhausted to question it, my brain fried from negotiating with doctors who could smell weakness a mile away. But while I was working, Sarah was out with Chris, some guy she'd told me was her abusive ex. Turns out he wasn't an ex at all. She was using my credit cards to fund their dates, fancy dinners, drinks, even hotel rooms. I found out later she was photographing my bank statements, timing her shopping sprees to my biggest commission checks. And the worst part? She'd make me feel guilty for being tired after work. "You're always so distant, Mike," she'd say, pouting, until I apologized for my 12-hour surgeries. Can you imagine that? I was saying sorry for keeping us afloat while she was bleeding me dry. The final straw was when I started hearing whispers of her bigger plan. I didn't know it yet, but she was talking about a marriage trap. Marry me, maybe even fake a pregnancy, then divorce me and take half my money. While I was dreaming of a future with her, she was laughing behind my back, calling me pathetic. She'd make me feel like I was the problem, like I wasn't giving her enough attention after spending all day in operating rooms. And the kicker? She wasn't just playing me. There was someone else in on her game. Chris, her so-called ex, who was very much in the picture. While I was working my ass off, she was building a double life, and I was funding every second of it. But here's where it gets insane. I was about to stumble onto something that would flip everything upside down. You think you've seen Betrayal? Wait till you hear what I found out next. I was in too deep, thinking Sarah was my everything, while she was playing me like a fiddle. Her lies were piling up. Fake emergencies, a double life, even a marriage trap. And I was funding it all, blind to the truth. But sometimes fate throws you a curveball, and that's exactly what happened on a random Tuesday afternoon. What I discovered next didn't just break my heart, it rewired my brain. You ever have a moment where your whole world flips upside down? That's where I was headed, and trust me, you're not going to see this coming. It was one of those rare days when my schedule fell apart. 2 surgeries got canceled, leaving me with a free afternoon, something that never happens in my line of work. I sell medical devices, so my life is a blur of hospital corridors and high-stakes meetings with surgeons who don't have time for small talk. That day, though, I was free, and I decided to surprise Sarah. I stopped by her favorite sushi spot, dropped $150 on takeout. Her favorite spicy tuna rolls, extra wasabi, the works. I was grinning like an idiot, thinking how her face would light up when I walked through the door. The irony? I was about to buy dinner for someone who was laughing at me behind my back. ever plan a sweet gesture, only to realize later it was for someone who didn't deserve it. I got to our apartment, juggling the sushi bag and my keys, when I heard voices through the door. Not just any voices. Sarah's, sharp and smug, and some guys, laughing like they were in on a private joke. I froze, my hand hovering over the doorknob. Something told me to listen, not barge in. That's when I heard it. Mike has no clue, Sarah said, her voice dripping with contempt. He's like my personal ATM. My stomach churned like I'd been sucker punched. I pressed my ear closer, the sushi bag slipping in my sweaty hands, and what I heard next made my blood run cold. Sarah was bragging to this guy, Chris, I'd later learn, about how she'd played me from the start. I got him to buy me the new iPhone in, like, 2 weeks, she said, laughing. Told him my old one broke. He didn't even blink. Chris chuckled, saying, "You're a genius, babe." Then she dropped the bomb about her abusive ex story, the one she'd fed me to make me feel protective. It was all a lie. Chris wasn't her ex. He was her current boyfriend, and they were using my money to fund their little escapades. She admitted to swiping my credit cards for their dates, $200 dinners, hotel rooms, even spa days. He apologized for being tired after a 12-hour surgery, she said, her voice mocking. Pathetic. My knees buckled. Pathetic. I was working my ass off to keep us afloat, and she was calling me pathetic. But it got worse. Sarah started talking about her endgame. Marriage, maybe a fake pregnancy, then a divorce to take half my money. I could clean him out, she said, her voice cold as ice. He's so desperate for love, he'd fall for anything. Chris laughed again, saying, "At least I know how to have fun, unlike that loser." I stood there, my heart hammering, my hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped the sushi. Every word was a knife, slicing through the life I thought we had. I wanted to burst in, scream, throw something, but I didn't. Something clicked in my head, like a switch flipping from victim to strategist. I wasn't going to let them know I knew, not yet. If they wanted to play games with my money, I'd show them what happens when the ATM shuts down. I backed away from the door, quiet as a ghost, and pulled out my phone. My hands were still trembling, but I hit record. For 10 minutes, I stood there, capturing every damning word through the door. Sarah laid it all bare, how she'd timed her emergencies with my paydays, how she'd photographed my bank statements to track my commissions, how she'd laughed with Chris about my long hours. He thinks I'm at study group, she said, giggling. I'm literally at a bar with you. I stopped the recording, my chest tight, my stomach twisting with nausea. I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt like a fool, but I wasn't going to stay one. I needed more than audio. I slipped down the hall, found a spot where I could see them through a window without being spotted. I zoomed in with my phone camera, catching Sarah and Chris laughing, her hand on his arm, a glass of wine in front of her, wine I'd probably paid for. I recorded it all, my hands steadying as anger replaced shock. This wasn't just about catching them, it was about building a case. I'd spent years closing million-dollar deals, reading people, spotting weaknesses. If Sarah thought she could outsmart me, she was about to learn who she was dealing with. I left the apartment building, walking down 17 floors because the elevator felt too small for the storm in my head. I sat in my car, the sushi bag cold on the passenger seat, and let it all sink in. The woman I loved, the one I thought I'd marry, was a con artist. She'd turned my life into her personal piggy bank, and I'd let her. The worst part? I could still hear her voice in my head, all those I love yous, those late night whispers about our future. Was any of it real? I stared at the sushi, $150 worth of food for a lie, and felt this sick mix of rage and heartbreak. But I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to break. I was going to get even. Sitting there, I started thinking like the salesman I am. In my job, you don't win by reacting, you win by planning. I had evidence, 10 minutes of audio, a video of them together, but it wasn't enough. I needed to protect myself, my money, my future. I thought about my bank accounts, my credit cards, the apartment lease, all the things Sarah had her claws in. She wasn't just stealing from me, she was building a case for a divorce she hadn't even started yet. I couldn't let her know I was onto her, not until I had every piece in place. So I made a decision. I'd play her game, but I'd play it better. They wanted to treat me like an ATM? Fine. I'd shut it down and they'd never see it coming. I drove away, the Dallas skyline blurring past me, and started mapping it out in my head. First, I'd meet with my bank to lock down my accounts, then a lawyer to cover my ass legally. I'd gather every shred of evidence, texts, receipts, bank statements, and build a case so airtight she'd have no way out. I wasn't just fighting for my money. I was fighting for my dignity. Have you ever been betrayed so bad it made you rethink everything? That's where I was, hurt, angry, but ready to take back control. And trust me, what I did next? It was a masterclass in turning the tables. The truth hit me like a freight train that Tuesday afternoon, standing outside my apartment door, listening to Sarah call me her personal ATM. My world didn't just crack, it shattered. But I wasn't going to let her and Chris walk away with my life. I'd built my career, closing million-dollar deals, reading people, outsmarting the sharpest minds in the room. If they thought they could play me, they were about to learn I'd play harder. I had evidence, audio, video, a burning rage. But it wasn't enough. I needed a plan, airtight and ruthless, to take back control. You ever have to rebuild yourself from the ground up after someone tried to tear you down? This is how I did it, step by calculated step. First, I went to my bank. I booked a meeting with Helen, my account manager, who'd seen me through years of commission checks. I sat across from her in a glass-walled office, laying out every transaction I could remember. $200 for Sarah's phone bill, $300 for that boutique dress, thousands more on dinners, spa days, her student loans. Helen pulled up my statements, and we spent 3 hours dissecting them. The numbers told a brutal story. $40,000 in gifts and expenses for Sarah over the past year, with spending spikes every time a big commission hit my account. She's got a pattern, Mike, Helen said, circling charges on a printout. This isn't random. I nodded, my jaw tight. We opened a new account at a different bank, transferred my savings, and set up alerts to flag any unusual activity. I wasn't moving all my money yet, Sarah would notice, but I was ready to pull the plug when the time came. Ever catch someone's scheme in black and white numbers? It's like seeing their soul laid bare. Next, I called Dave, a lawyer I'd met through a hospital client. He was a bulldog in a suit, the kind of guy who could smell a scam from a mile away. I met him at his office, a cramped space stacked with legal books and coffee cups. I played him the recording, Sarah's voice, cold and mocking, bragging about her marriage trap. Dave leaned back, whistling. She's building a divorce case already, he said. Joint accounts, shared lease. She's setting you up to take half. He told me to document everything, but hold off on moving money until we had a paper trail. Get her texts, receipts, anything that shows intent, he said, and don't tip her off. Act normal. Normal. The word felt like a sick joke, but I knew he was right. I had to play dumb while I built my case. The goldmine came when I checked Sarah's iPad, which she'd left logged into her messages. I'd bought it for her schoolwork, of course. Big mistake on her part. She never logged out. 2 years of texts with Chris, unfiltered and damning. Hotel receipts paid with my card, dinner reservations, even screenshots of my bank statements she'd sent to her friends with captions like, "Look at this idiot's paycheck." I sat there, scrolling, my stomach twisting as I saved every message to a cloud drive. Then I dug into Chris. A quick background check, $20 online, worth every penny, revealed he wasn't the business owner Sarah claimed. He was a bartender at a dive bar with a rap sheet for theft and DUI. Better yet, he was on probation. One slip, and he'd be back in jail. I reached out to a hospital probation officer I knew, dropping just enough info to confirm Chris's status, If he was using my card, he was violating probation. Checkmate. I started documenting everything like a detective. Every gift I'd bought Sarah, designer bags, that iPhone, even spa vouchers, I photographed and matched to receipts. I tracked her study group nights, cross-referencing her locations with charges on my card. Social media was a treasure trove. Instagram posts of her at bars, tagged with Chris's friends while she told me she was studying. Venmo transactions showed her sending him cash, my cash, with memos like drinks on me. I saved it all, every pixel, every cent. But the hardest part? Pretending everything was fine. I'd come home after a 12-hour shift, smile, and ask about her day while she lied to my face. I even bought her a MacBook to help with school, keeping up the facade. Inside, I was seething, but I played the part. You ever have to smile at someone who's stabbing you in the back? It's a special kind of hell. Then there was Chris's sister, who showed up at our apartment unannounced, acting like she was just checking in. I later found out she was scoping me out, reporting back to Chris about how clueless I was. I played dumb, offered her coffee, laughed at her small talk, all while my brain screamed, "They're all in on it." I kept my cool, knowing every interaction was a chance to gather more intel. I was methodical, patient, treating this like the biggest deal of my career. Sarah wanted to play me for a fool. I'd let her think she was winning, until she wasn't. The final piece fell into place when I caught wind of their next move, a beach trip. Sarah told me it was a girls' weekend, but her text to Chris revealed the truth. They'd booked a hotel using my card, $600 for 2 nights, plus room service and spa charges. It was the perfect opportunity. I knew exactly when she'd be gone, giving me a clean window to execute. I met with Dave again, and he drafted a formal letter outlining everything. Her fraud, the affair, the recorded evidence. We made multiple backups, cloud, USB, hard copies. The letter included a 48-hour ultimatum for Sarah to leave the apartment and a harassment clause to keep her away from me. I wasn't just cutting her off. I was building a fortress around my life. I timed it perfectly. Sarah's study group was her code for meeting Chris, and the beach trip was their big getaway. While they were planning their little vacation on my dime, I was planning their downfall. I coordinated with the landlord, who was sympathetic after I showed him the evidence. "My ex-wife pulled similar crap," he said, agreeing to let me break the lease with minimal penalty. I lined up professional movers, ready to clear out everything I'd paid for. The stage was set, and I was ready to pull the trigger. You know that moment when you realize you're not the victim anymore? That's where I was, calm, focused, and about to flip the script. But how it all went down, that's where it gets really good. The plan was locked and loaded. Sarah and Chris thought they had me fooled, living it up on my dime. But I was done being their ATM. I'd spent weeks gathering evidence, recordings, texts, receipts, building a case that would bury them. Now it was execution day, and I was ready to pull the trigger. You ever feel that rush when you know you're about to take back everything someone stole from you? That's where I was, calm as a surgeon, ready to make the final cut. Let me tell you how it all went down. It started with breakfast. Sarah was packing for her girls' weekend. The beach trip with Chris, she thought I knew nothing about. I played the part, making her pancakes in bed, pouring fresh orange juice, acting like the perfect boyfriend. She posted a picture on Instagram, captioned "being spoiled," while texting Chris about their hotel plans. The irony burned. She was playing me right to my face, and I let her think she was winning. That morning, while she was in the shower, I called my bank. In 1 hour, I transferred every cent to my new account, canceled all my credit cards, and removed Sarah as an authorized user. I placed a fraud alert on my credit report, locking her out for good. It felt like flipping a switch. Her access to my money was gone. And she didn't even know it yet. Ever pull off a move so clean it feels like justice itself? By noon, Sarah was out the door, oblivious, headed to meet Chris. That's when I made my move. I'd hired professional movers, and they showed up like clockwork. In 4 hours, they cleared out everything I'd paid for. Furniture, appliances, even that damn MacBook I bought her. Sarah's personal stuff, I left it in boxes by the door, neatly labeled. Security cameras rolled the whole time, documenting every move in case she tried to spin some story later. I called the landlord, who'd already agreed to break the lease after seeing my evidence. "My ex-wife did similar crap," he'd said, shaking his head. He removed Sarah from the building access list, ensuring she couldn't get back in. The apartment was a ghost town by 5 p.m., and I was already on my way to a new place, my life packed into a storage unit. You know that feeling when you cut ties so completely it's like you never existed? That was me, free at last. Sarah's meltdown was instant. By evening, my phone lit up with 47 missed calls and over 100 texts. Pleading, then raging, then begging again. "Mike, what's going on? Where's our stuff?" she wrote, like she had any claim to it. I blocked her number, then blocked the next one she tried. She showed up at my office the next day, spinning a story to my coworkers about how I'd lost my mind. Security escorted her out, and I didn't say a word. The hotel evidence sealed her fate. I got the manager to pull security footage, multiple visits with Chris, all charged to my card. Room service, spa treatments, the works. It was undeniable proof of her affair and fraud, ready for Dave's legal letter if she dared push back. The dominoes kept falling. Chris's probation officer got a tip about his credit card use. My card, of course. That landed him 6 months in jail for violation, plus new fraud charges. His bartending gig? Gone. Sarah's world crumbled too. She dropped out of UT after missing finals, stuck on academic probation. With no money and no lease, she moved back to her small town in East Texas, working at Walmart, a far cry from the designer bags and spa days. Her friends ditched her, her parents refused to cover her credit card debt, and her dreams of community college fizzled out. I didn't have to destroy them. I just stepped back and let their own choices catch up. Sometimes, the best revenge is watching karma do its work. You ever see someone's lies collapse under their own weight? It's a hell of a show.